Okay, now we're near the end. I want to talk about some of the things we could do to improve some of these. First, the problem of not anticipating moves by the opposition. Basically, the only way of doing that better, I think, is just to plan more. Do more strategic planning. Do more what-if thinking. What if the opposition does this? What if the opposition does that? That type of thing. Draw it on a diagram. Figure out what would happen if they do that move. See if you can prevent them from making that move, or if you can do something to go down a completely different path where it wouldn't even make any sense. Okay, to solve the problems associated with hierarchical structures, the rigidity and the fragility, replace them, at least temporarily, with a leaderless resistant type network. Now this leaderless resistances are not a new thing. In fact, the early colonists, when they were getting ready for the Revolutionary War, they used it. They had something called committees of correspondence, which sent letters around the colonies saying what was going on. They were basically the intelligence arm of the resistance. And then they had now I forget the name of the group, but they were the ones who did the Boston Tea Party. What were they called? I forget the name right now. Sons of Liberty. Yeah, the Sons of Liberty. That was the other part. And there was no central leader. They knew what they wanted. They wanted freedom. They exchanged information about what the British were doing, and they passed around ideas, but there was no leader. There was no way the British could take out a single person and stop the revolution, stop the movement. And we ended up with a reasonably free country. So it was used. And by the way, in the New Libertarian Manifesto, the strategy for agorism seems to recommend this for the New Alliance, the New Liberty Alliance. Okay, next. Instead of trying to be more secretive like the state, I think we should be more open. Use the advancing technology to our advantage. Spend less effort hiding our secrets from the state and more effort exposing the state's dirty secrets to the people, such as illegal drugs and all the false justifications for war. Because we'll have technology on our side that way. Doesn't mean we have to abandon secrecy completely, but I think it would help. And to improve education, recruitment, and resource supplies, I suggest that we maybe could give something away. And I have an idea called the Infogora, which I'd like to talk about. Don't have a whole lot of time, but... Okay, the Infogora. Now, if you study why libertarian strategies fail, one thing is pretty clear. Most of the problems could be solved if more people were involved. If more believers and more activists, they can contribute more time, resources, and money. And a lot of the problems we'd have would simply go away. And in fact, most of the strategies that we have, they'd work if they had enough people. Some might work better than others, but with enough people, anything is possible. So how can we get more people? Well, I'm proposing something called the Infogora, which is a parallel libertarian strategy, something you can combine with other strategies for increasing the number of people involved in the libertarian cause. And I'm going to describe what it is and how it works. Okay, it provides information services. Okay, those services are free, and the reason they're free is to encourage many people to use them. They're performed by a set of computer programs called applications. So we don't have to do anything. Once we set up these programs, they do all the work. The applications are free. And they're free to encourage a lot of people to get them and use them. All you have to do is download them and install them. Okay. The applications are open source software. The purpose of this is to encourage a lot of people to work on them and improve them. This is how Linux was developed. This is how the OpenOffice.org suite was developed and maintained. And it's a very effective way of developing software. All apps are either standalone or peer-to-peer. This means there's no dependence on Internet central servers. There's several reasons for this. If you do it this way, there is zero overhead for central server, because there aren't any. There is zero cost for new users. The user's computer provides all the computing power, and user network connections provide all the communications bandwidth. So new users are added easily, and the community of users scales up easily, almost effortlessly. Once you've got the software built, people just start using it. And that tends to be true of most freeware and open source software. Poor performance or failure of servers caused by sabotage or bias or infiltration by the organizations that own those servers is not a problem, again, because there are no servers. As the FBI or the CIA or the NSA, they can't take the system out by taking out a few servers, because everything is distributed. It would be an extremely I mean, they basically have to take down the entire internet or every user computer to take it all down. And that would, users would not put up with that. Okay, next feature. Some of the applications and features are trading oriented. That is, they're there to facilitate and educate about free trade. This includes two apps that I think we should have. An IOU account manager. This app maintains local copies of a user's trade accounts with their credit limits, IOU account balances, etc. Okay. When the user's computer is connected to other users through a network, it can make and record payments like Shire Hours and Ripple Pay do. Okay. It's not necessary, but it helps. Also, when it's connected to the internet, it can act as a much easier to use front end for those systems, because those systems are not very user friendly. I'm a user on Shire Hours, and it could be a lot better. And that maybe, I suspect it's one of the reasons why we haven't got more Shire Hours users, in spite of efforts like Jack, who's really gotten a lot of people on. Okay. Now the other app, besides the IOU account manager, the other app is a trade opportunity publish and search engine. Okay. This is nothing like anything I've seen so far. It's completely new. And this would provide the trader with the ability to do two things: publish items that he wants to buy, sell, or barter, and find items published by other traders that match his trading desires. So basically, it's a special purpose search engine tuned to finding trading opportunities. And I think this is another reason why systems like Shire Hours doesn't have as many users as it might, because there aren't as many trading opportunities as there might be. And a feature of both of these apps is, eventually, they should have automatic currency and barter item conversion, because it's a nice feature to have, and a lot of people would like to barter. Sometimes people will trade, you can have a partial barter and sale. You might trade one item for somebody else's item and some cash. And the system should be able to handle that with ease. And I think it can be done. I don't see any reason why it couldn't. They can do complicated conversions in the Ripple Pay system. I think we could adapt those to make it work in this system also. Okay. Now, those are the trading apps. In addition to the trading apps, I think we should have peer-to-peer versions of existing internet apps. And the purpose of these is to facilitate communication, education, and whistleblowing, and undermine the mainstream media and other opposition counterintelligence operations. They basically do everything that the internet is doing now and the mainstream media is doing now, but do it in a secure way. We need a web page publisher, and this is for basically web pages, which can't be blocked or slowed. We need a search engine that works like Google, that can't be influenced. Remember, these are all peer-to-peer versions of ones that now run on central servers. Next, electronic messages, such as email and instant messages, which can't be blocked, lost, or delayed. A lot of email these days, especially email within activist groups, seems to get stuck somewhere, and it's delayed until after the event, or until after the event, delayed to the point where there's not enough time for people to get to the event. I know that's happened to Jack a few times. A social networking system would be nice. Now that's more complicated, but it's basically just a combination of some of the preceding apps and a few others. Okay, now a collaborative document authoring system like Wiki. Wiki is really good, but it has a problem, especially with politically oriented articles. People get on there and just basically remove politically sensitive information. And it's a real problem. And what I'm suggesting is we need something like Wiki, but we need a system where the articles are forkable. Now, that's a term in software engineering, where in software engineering you have multiple versions of a system. Every time you create a new version of a file, it gets a higher version number. Okay? But at some point, though, sometimes people will fork their projects. Like, for example, I guess Shire Hours is a fork of RipplePay. Or they've done other things too, like operating systems and editors and things like that. Somebody decides that at some point, I want to take this project in a different direction. I want to try something completely different, and it would be too difficult to maintain what's already there. So I just want to start a new project. It's called forking. We can do the same thing with articles, like on Wiki. When you create a new version, it's a new fork. And it is not necessarily going to be the one that the next person looks at. Whether the person actually sees that article depends on whether that new article that you just created is liked by other people. Okay, and it contains a built-in document rating system. I was just basically describing how that works. All right, now, the benefits of the Infogora. I'm right at the end of my talk, just in time. The Infogora provides actual value, so potentially it will get a large number of people to use it. It will teach people how to be a free trader and help them trade more efficiently, finding better bargains without going to the megacorporations, finding better bargains with individuals and small groups, small companies. It'll make it more difficult for government to hide what it really is, a tool for the elite. It will increase users of Shire Hours, RipplePay, and similar systems which need a minimum number of people to work effectively, the so-called catch-22 that the previous speaker mentioned. And it will show that the libertarians have been right all along and cause people to become libertarians and give existing libertarian strategies the resources they need to succeed. The end.